over a ransom of 120,000 naira, and y'all have added your voice on it, telling me what you think about that. And remember, there was also that story where the CS that's talking about the chief of staff, yeah? The chief of staff to the president in the person of Femi Gbajabiamila, right, has also come out to talking about the fact that the Nigeria's weight is too heavy and that it cannot be carried by ordinary human. And it just brings to thought the question of, please, if you're talking about the weight of Nigeria being too heavy and cannot be carried by ordinary human beings, are we looking at a supernatural human being to come and carry it? Because there's always the God factor every time that we talk about matters that concern leadership. And it just makes me really, really want to think deeply. Why does it have to be about leadership every time? That's when we invoke the God factor, right? I'm not saying it's wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's time we begun to look into issues that bother us and make things right. And you have also said it, yourself, especially when the president has said that Nigerians need to pray, that there's need for prayer, there is need for showing support to the system, to the government. In fact, there's the one that really ticked, and that was the part where he says Nigerians should be more sacrificing. It should be sacrificial, in all that we do. And it just makes you wonder if we have not sacrificed enough. I mean, just recently, or under this administration, right, under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, we've had two loans approved by the World Bank. The first was a 750 million US dollar loan, right, to Nigeria, and the second, of course, is a 500 million US dollar loan from the World Bank. And what's the second one for? It was to ensure that women are empowered. They're empowered in education, they're empowered in vocational skills, they're empowered in, health sector, they're empowered in all aspects of their lives. But then the question has always been, like you've also rightfully pointed out, the fact that it is not about collecting these loans, but it is about judiciously using the loan for the purpose it was intended. And that is always the bane of it. So we collect loans here and there, but we do not see these loans channeled into the intended purpose, talking about the capital infrastructural development. We don't see that a lot, and that makes us want to wonder, and that's what has bridged the trust between the Nigerian people and the government. Of course, it's no news that we, the people, do not have the trust of the government, although the current administration is trying all it could to ensure that that trust is bridged, right? And there's also this talk about the tariff hike. Yes, we've talked about that one, where the NERC, which means the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, that is the NERC, as awaiting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval and plans a stakeholders meeting. And I'm liking what is going on, particularly, especially knowing that there's been some back and forth at some point, talking about Disco's coming out to saying there's going to be an increment in price of tariff, for electricity. The CSOs, the civil society organizations, have come out to kicking against it. The organized labor, talking about the NLC and the TUC, they've also spoken against it. SERAP has also come out to talk against it. And then after all this pressure, groups have come out to talking about it. We saw the AEDC, the Abuja Electrification Distribution Company, coming out to saying that, in a memo saying that, Nigerians disregard any kind of talk about a tariff increment, for power. And just at the heels of that was just yesterday, today we are seeing the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, that is the NERC, saying that they are awaiting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval for tariff hike. And they're also looking at plans to have a stakeholders meeting. And there's a part of this that really got me, and I'm super, super excited to note that some consumers of this service, talking about electricity and power, have deemed it in their hearts to attend the planned stakeholders meeting. And why? They are going there to throw up issues that include the rising cost of operations, inflation, and foreign exchange for discussion. These are the things they want to engage with at the stakeholders forum to discussing, right? And we have also seen, some other angles that concerns the exorbitant RAM prices and the Eid al-Kabir celebration. It's a really, really, really not something that it puts a smile on the faces of each and every one of us. I mean, this is supposed to be a time for us to celebrate sterling qualities of Ibrahim, of course, who happens to be with the Christian mythology, Abraham. What he did, that sterling quality of speed, of sacrifice, of obedience. And then it brings to mind the talk about obedience being better than sacrifice. You've heard that a lot, right? Obedience is better than sacrifice. But is that word always the true sense of the word? Is it practical? I mean, don't get me wrong again. Let me show you an angle you might be missing. There have been cases where people have taken an order in obedience to cause mutiny, to cause harm to humanity. And they took that order and followed it up to the letter. In such an instance, where do we place that popular say, obedience is better than sacrifice? I hope you understand where I'm going to. But yes, there is a message of obedience. There's a message of sacrifice. We have that. There is a place of trust. How much of these leaders shown us in terms of the values from this celebration and infusing it into governance in itself? How much have they been able to incorporate it? So it doesn't just do in telling Nigerians to be sacrificial. What about your house? Have you put your house in shape just yet? Have you been able to cut down on the cost of governance? I mean, we've said this over and over again. But rather than see a cutting down in the cost of governance, what we see is that some government agencies have come out, like the RMAFC, to saying that there is need for a 114% increment in the salaries of public office holders, as well as judges, as well as the president and the vice president. So it's more like, oh, come on, a come one, come all affair. Come and eat of the national cake because we want to increase your salaries. And the question would not be about increasing the salary. The question is, what job have you done to even benefit, to deserve this increment? I mean, you do a job, and if that job is satisfactory, right, that's when an organization will say, okay, you call for a review of your salary and say, oh, please, I've been able to achieve this. These are the things I'm doing. This is the one I'm doing at present, and this is how there are some future plans, and this is why I'm saying that based on all of these and how much revenue I've brought into the system and everything, I think I humbly apply that my salary be reviewed upward. But I mean, the present administration just started. It's just a baby in governance of the country. And you're already talking about how it's long overdue for an increment for the public office holders, the president, the vice president, the governors, the ministers, the judges. If you even talk about the judges, well, we can understand. I mean, there is a need for the judges to be separated in all ramification from the other tier of government. Talking about the executive and the legislature. Because until they have that full independence, that's the only time that we might be able to begin to see the judiciary stand its ground without fear or favor, make a decision and hold it tightly. It is no gainsaying that he that pays the piper dictates the tune. And it's one of the things that is so disappointing that makes us as Nigerians talk. And I'd like to really know from you, just like you've been talking, you put your calls through, you've given us messages and everything. I'd like to know from you if we are on the path towards making Nigeria great, or we are still going back retrogressing rather than progressing. Because naturally, you would expect that having seen the mistakes of his predecessor, that the president Bola Ahmed Tinubu would begin to speak truth to situation, to purpose. When the salary increments, came aboard, there was nobody, none of the ministers, none of the senators, nobody came out to dislodge it. Nobody said, oh, this is not right. Nigerians are suffering. We cannot come and feed fat while the average Nigerian is suffering, is going through untold hardship as a result of some of the policies that we're putting in place, which, of course, is in quotes, supposed to add value to us, make us have the sense of belonging, that indeed we're a part of a system that is working. Okay, let me take you back. Let me even take you to the issue that concerned, this whole fuel subsidy removal, as well as the matters that concern, the NLC and the TUC making one of such demands to the federal government and saying that since subsidy has been removed, and this has brought an adverse effect on the average, the common man in the streets, there is a need to now up what it was that we call the minimum wage. It's really laughable that over the years, over time, no government agency has thought it worthwhile to up the minimum wage. 30,000 naira in this dispensation? They have proposed a 200,000 naira rise, which of course is more like a pipe dream. But then it is worth the shot. And we have not seen no ministers, no governors, nobody has come out to saying, oh yes, I think the people need this. The civil servants are the ones, you and I are the ones who are facing the brunt of it. And it's painful. And I said it once, and I'm going to say it again. It's so sad. If I was a member, maybe in the House of Reps, the Senate, and all of that, public office, high and tall, and I step feet out of the shores of Nigeria, I should be ashamed of myself. You have said it too. We should be ashamed of ourselves that we go to countries that have things working. They have a system that works. And yet we come back and act as though we have not seen reforms in that country. Or we've not seen things that we can imbibe from the country and then practice to make the betterment of our lives even a much safer place. So are we really putting our minds on things that are serious, on the critical issues, or we're just looking at frivolities? Take, for example, the Eid al-Kabir celebration. How exorbitant the rams, which is supposed to be significant to this celebration, have become. Of course, what would you blame anybody? Fuel subsidy was removed, and we thought there was going to be a palliative. The World Bank has told the president that, look, this is the time to begin to ensure that human capacity building becomes at the top in ensuring that the life or the livelihood, the standard of living for you and I is given value and purpose. Does it have to take the World Bank to tell us that before we can begin to gear up and worm ourselves up to responsibility? Your guess is as good as mine. But you want to talk to me, you want to add your voice in the discourse tonight. 0700 010 961 961 is the number for you to call, as well as send your WhatsApp, message to. Write me on WhatsApp and talk to me. Let me know how you feel, because this is VOP 96.1, and VOP stands for Voice of the People 96.1. And we keep saying it over and over again that now you have a voice. And because you have a voice, you should not maintain the culture of silence. But of course, it's time for you to speak truth to purpose. And let us have a great time. Let us redirect the country. Let us change the narrative, because the power is in the people, and politics, of course, is what we address. And that's fact. But the moment we keep short, we may not make headway. Now, I've got a call. Let's take this. Hello to you.
Good evening, Master Peter.
Good evening to you. What's your name? That's right, Mr. Olajide. Welcome back. Welcome back all the way from Wuse too. Let's have your take on this.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm having a call back from your studio.
Yeah. It's worked on. It's being worked on.
Okay, can you hear me properly now?
Very well, very well. Go ahead.
Good. Let me start this way. On the issue of price of RAM in the market, Mr. Speaker, I want you to understand one thing. There is no year anyone tells you that RAM is cheap. You can be a witness of it. Can you tell me? I'm 50 plus. I'm close to. I'm late 50. There is no year that somebody say, we thank Almighty Allah. The RAM of this year is cheaper than last year. Can you remember me? Can you remind me of anyone, anything like that? See, Mr. Speaker, we are moving forward. But the tragic frustration is this. We are not producing anything. Day before yesterday, I saw the rams, and I discovered that there is nowhere in Nigeria they are rearing this kind of breed that they are bringing for this kind of celebration. And I now ask, those that are buying, those that are selling it, that this time that you are bringing from Niger, from China, can't we raise it here? And the man just burst into laughter. Now tell me, Mr. Speaker, how will that ram know? How will you not cost? Tell me that state in Nigeria, that kind of breed of ram that I buy for this festival.
When you say the breed of ram, what do you mean exactly? Are you talking about the size? You're talking about the shape? Is it malnourished? What do you mean exactly?
I'm talking about this kind of the one we normally buy for this festival. You get what I'm saying now?
Okay.
If any market you go, you discover that these rams are not from Nigeria. They are from outside. They are outside the country. They are from abroad, like Niger, Mauritania, Mali. Are you getting it now? What purpose as a nation to start breeding this kind of breed? But no state can do it, and we expect the price to be low. It will not. That is part of the ram. It will continue. You can imagine that somebody bought a ram of 200,000, 250,000, 150,000, 100,000. That is why the ram will continue to increase in prices, simply because we are not breeding it here.
Right. So
finally, Mr. Speaker.
Go on, yeah.
Finally, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Finally,
very quickly, though. Very quickly, for want of time.
Briefly, on the issue of subsidy, the question I keep asking people is this. We are all talking about this subsidy. We are all talking about borrowing money. How do we do if we don't want to borrow money again? How do we do? We don't want to borrow money, and we don't want subsidy to be removed. What is the way forward? We have to start somewhere. And let me say this: the new government is not up to a month. So let's give them chance. Let's see what they're going to do with the money they're going to recoup from this oil subsidy. Then we'll be able to judge them.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Olajide. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
That's right. Thank you so much then. All right. That is Mr. Olajide right there is at his view, right? And he is spoken, in his right as a Nigerian. And this is what we talk about. We encourage it because do not imbibe the culture of silence. Silence would not help us in this country, but it's only when we speak truth to purpose, that's when we begin to match words with action and also be a part of the system. When I mean be a part of the system, I'm not saying be corrupted. I'm saying be a part of what's going on politically, economically, scientifically. I mean, even in the tech world, right? Do not lose your focus. Nigeria is ours, and like the president said, it's ours for the taking, and we have to make it the home that we want it to be. Well, this is where we call it a close. I want to say a big thank you to you for being a part of the conversation. I want to apologize as well. I said I was going to give you a brief, on the matters that concern, the France Paris protest, where an update is that the French police arrest 150 protesting teenagers killing over traffic violation, right? And it was really, really a very sad one right there. As celebrities alike, then the president of France and the president of Emmanuel Macron, had condemned it. I mean, the likes of celebrities in France, Kylian Mbappe has also come out to saying, "Oh, France, my France, oh, my France." It's more like a lamentation and everything. Well, this is where we say a bye-bye. Tonight, of course, Trish, the goddess, just stepped into the studio. She's going to be taking you on a thrilly night. I know it's a cold night still, but yes, it's going to be an effective one because she has the spice for it, okay? So from now into the night, she will be handling things, okay? From me, Uduak Daniel is my name. Don't forget what it is. This is Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja. Living you in the hands of Ashake featuring Olamide Amapiano.